Hey everybody, this is Chris from Skeleton. Obviously trying something new today. For today's update video, I've decided to use some new software so you can now see my face and probably hear me a little bit better. I think the audio balance should be a little bit better than previous videos. So just in case you're curious what this video is, what this is about, this is an ongoing series that we're just kind of covering progress updates for Skeleton V3 or Skeleton Next, as you might know it as. If you have not seen it, I do recommend you come onto the Skeleton repository here, click the discussion section, and then you'll see this link right here with the proposal, the RFC, and things like that. So previous video updates are all provided here, and then if you just want to read kind of a summary of the changes, that's all provided in this discussion section as well. So for today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on really three main topics. So the first is going to be new updates to the plugin. So we have a couple of cool new updates to show there. Several updates to the documentation site, which you're seeing on the screen right now. And then I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at some of the new additions coming to our updated Figma assets and Figma design files. So without hesitation, let's go ahead and just get started here. So the first one I want to show you is just going to be, a couple quick updates that we've made to the plugin itself. So the plugin is really important for anything that's related to themes, and even things like some of your Tailwind config settings here, like dark mode and stuff like that. So there's really kind of two main changes that I want to show today. The first is we have now made it where you can use the media strategy, which is just a built-in part of Tailwind. Kind of think of it like this. So you have two different ways to operate light and dark mode. By default, you use class, and the way that works is in your project, you'll have something like this. So you'll have an HTML element on your page, and then that will have a class that's either light mode with no class there, or dark to set dark mode. So that's the class strategy, right? Media strategy uses the operating system's kind of default settings here. So if your operating system is set to light mode, your browser, the contents on the browser will default to light mode and dark mode respectively. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to leave this here. That won't hurt anything or impact anything. And I'm going to set class, and then we're just going to take a look at the skeleton documentation site, which is using skeletons. Got this sort of set up here where you can click this little button here and toggle light and dark mode. So the class strategy is really good for this, where you want a toggle on the page that will automatically change as you kind of click and jump between that. But you might be of the mindset that you just want this to be automatic. You just want this to default to whatever the preference the user has set in the operating system. So if you want to do that, we would just switch to media. We're going to save this. And then we're going to come over here, and I'm going to open, and this may be off screen for you. I don't know if it'll appear in the recordings. Just make sure there's no identifying information here. I don't want to leak or share. Okay, we should be good. So yeah, so we've got, I'm on a Mac obviously here. We have dark mode set. Now when I switch here and I click this, we're going to see a change. So you're going to see not only does my browser change, but the actual site itself changes to update to respect light or dark mode. So we can go there, we can go to dark mode. I could set it to auto, where it would change, I believe, based on like a time setting or something like that. So yeah, you can do a couple different options in Mac. The cool thing with Mac as well is that it will change like live. You'll see a live transition from one to the other. If you're on Windows or Linux, you probably won't see that option. So just a heads up on that, okay? But that's the media option. Again, built into Tailwind, we've just now taken advantage of it. In previous iterations of Skeleton, it was possible to do this, but it required a bunch of extra steps. So we would have to come in here. I think we kind of detail some of this. So if we go to light switch, yeah, we had the class strategy, we had the OS strategy. Yeah, you would have to change the setting here. You would have to enable, pull in this, import the script, and kind of put this file in your layout file, put this markup, all these extra hoops. And the gist of it is we've just eliminated all that. It should now, the plugin should now adapt to whatever setting you have here and just work by default. So really, really nice quality of life change there. Zero config. Just use the Tailwind built-in features for that now, which is which is really great. The other change you're going to see here is you may have already noticed if you've imported themes before in your application, is we now have this importing themes, import statement here at the top, and then down here where we have this skeleton plugin configured, we have a theme section, and then we have a handful of different themes there. So we can kind of pull up the V2 docs real quick, and we can kind of compare what this looked like previously. So I think I can come here. Yeah, so you can kind of see something like this, or even the themes section was probably a little more detailed. So we had essentially two options, right? You had presets, which were themes that were built into Skeleton that you could use, like the skeleton theme, the modern themes, the one you see kind of listed in this option up here. Likewise, you could have your own custom themes, and when you did custom themes, you would have to go through kind of a different process, or a different key to set that. You would have to go in here into your config and set themes custom, and then kind of define your list of custom themes there. And so what this was doing is essentially registering the theme so that all the theme assets, the CSS custom properties and things like that make up the theme, were included in your bundle for each and every theme that you had. So you could have a mix of a handful of presets, you could have a mix of a handful of custom, but it was this kind of like separation. They were on like different layers, right? So what we've done is essentially eliminate that. There's just now a singular one theme section that you configure. No presets, no custom. They're all just kind of treated the same. And then you can see we're importing the themes from Skeleton itself. And these are for the specific built-in themes. So we have 4 right now for the current iteration of Skeleton v3. But you can just see we're pulling it in and going themes.capuchin, I think is how you pronounce that, Cerberus, Pine, and Rose. And we're just kind of importing all 4 of those to pre-register those. The next step is obviously the same as V2, is you need to inform your application which theme you want to be the active one. And we do that by having like an HTML document that you come in here and you set a data theme on there. So if we wanted the default theme to be Pine, we could set that, and that would be applied, or whichever option you wanted there. Any of those that you have pre-registered. But the 2 changes there, again, collapsing custom and preset, they're now just a single list. So if you did have a custom theme, you would import it like you did previously, and then just put in, like my custom theme, whatever it's called, the reference there. And again, it would just all be one flat array list there. And then the other thing is, again, just the way you import the preset themes has changed there. Just, again, a little simpler. You even get some nice recommendations there. So you can see, like, which one are you importing? Oh, we want to do Rose, so it's auto-suggested. Really nice kind of quality of life improvement there. So those are the 2 main changes to the plugin. Again, really great changes. Those were made by a contributor named Adrian, or Coca, that you may know from Discord. So quick shout out to him. He did a wonderful job on those 2 changes, and it's, I think that will dramatically improve the quality of life for folks that are just trying to set up their project and get started. So really excited to kind of show, get this in your hands to be able to try that out. Okay, now the docs themselves, you're obviously going to notice there's a couple quick cosmetic changes if you haven't looked in a while. The homepage looks a little different. If we browse into the application, you're going to see some of the sections that showed like to-do pages or like placeholders are now a little more fleshed out. We have a couple more kind of UI options here in the header, several new sections that didn't exist previously. So quite as a lot has changed here. The first thing I really want to show you is just some changes to the themes themselves. So you'll notice we've got the Cerberus theme by default. If I jump to one of these others, you're going to see it's going to look a little fancier. I can kind of go back here and we can go to look, the card section. You kind of see the previews look a little different for any of the components that you might preview here. If we come in here and we switch to another theme, we now have this like cool little like outline that's, pulling in a kind of a gradient style. And then if we go to Pine, that has a quite drastic, change there. It's very, very different look. And then Rose as well, very different look and style. And so the way we're accomplishing this is not necessarily changes to the theme settings themselves. I showed the theme generator in a previous video. What we've now done is we're using kind of a new technique, and I've got a section kind of in the documentation here that kind of talks through this. You're going to see this enhancing themes section here on the themes documentation page. And so what I've done is I've shown a quick example here of what that looks like. And so by default, you could have something like this, where you just insert a card on the page. You use the card utility class from Skeleton, so the preset styles, mix in some Tailwind, styles, things like that, and just do that. That's how you create a simple card, right? But what we're doing here is we're doing this kind of advanced kind of technique where we're kind of abstracting some of these styles. So we're taking this and we're giving this kind of a nice specific class name, and then in our style sheet, we're going and setting up, okay, so here's sort of like the defaults, and then if we're able to target specific themes using the syntax here, this data themes syntax. And so we can say, hey, when the Cerberus theme is provided, then add these additional styles or change these styles here. Or when this theme is set, go ahead and change these styles. And then what the result is what you just saw, where it's one particular kind of utility class that's shared and used all throughout the application, but it changes based on either what the defaults are or what the theme specific customizations or enhancements are. So this is a little bit more of an advanced technique, but we will be kind of expanding on this and showcasing this a little bit more in the future. But just wanted to show you kind of quickly what that looks like. So we have a quick example just showing a kind of outline for the Cerberus theme. If I jump to another theme, you can kind of see that has a slightly different style as well. So, but if we go to any of these others, they're just using the default style. So it's just one-to-one with the symbol and the enhanced version. So definitely recommend checking out that portion of the docs if you're kind of curious to see how we're doing that more advanced styling technique. But it's, again, really cool. And this is just tip of the iceberg for what is new and what has been added to the documentation itself. So if we want to, we can kind of just quickly browse through here. You're going to see there's a new introduction section that's starting to kind of highlight some of the benefits and some of the unique features that are not just part of Skeleton, but specifically coming as part of V3. We've got a new installation section, which you can see is starting to be separated into installation instructions per framework, so meta frameworks in this case. So if we want to come in here and look at the Next.js, it kind of walks you through a step-by-step approach for, install Next.js, use these configuration settings, install Skeleton, adjust your Tailwind config, and then boom, you're ready to go. Set your theme and you're good to go. Likewise, we can go through the SvelteKit steps, very similar, similar process. There's an extra step because Tailwind is not a default option for SvelteKit, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same process. We do have a big warning here at the top, just telling you don't try this yet. The packages that we're detailing here, these @next packages, those are not yet published, so you will not be able to actually install and use V3 yet. So fingers crossed, we will have these hopefully in the near future, but just a quick heads up on that. Additionally, we have a new fundamental section, which is something I think we were really missing in the previous version of the documentation. This kind of really walks you through kind of how you should browse the documentation and kind of steps go step by step for introducing the concepts you need to know in order to use Skeleton effectively. And so we kind of split things into 3 sections, and you kind of see it replicated over here as well, which is we have the design system, the Tailwind components or Tailwind features, Tailwind utility classes, and then just our components. So the design system just kind of talks you through the fact that we have Figma assets, which I'll showcase in just a little bit. We've got the design sections, which are all covered here. And we just kind of recommend you just kind of go through these in order. Just kind of learn a little bit about themes, learn about colors, on and on and on. Same for Tailwind. We have all the Tailwind sections listed over here on the side, but we kind of talk through and kind of explain what these are and what their purpose is. And then the component section is probably the most robust here in that it just really breaks down why, fundamentally how the component system works within Skeleton. So we talk about the fact that we have different packages. We have one specific for React, one specific for Svelte. Just generally how you add a component. This should be, pretty familiar if you've ever used one of these frameworks before. We talk about sort of our methodology or sort of categorization for what we consider types of properties for each component. So there's some cool details on there to kind of read through. and then go a little further into style props, which is what you tend to use the most in Skeleton, which is setting tailwind utility classes on your different components. So you could set a background style, or you could set, borders and extend the class with the classes, or override the base styles in V3. Some of these kind of, just introductory concepts to how the styling system and how some of that stuff works within components. So definitely recommend reading that. It does link to a more advanced guide, which is our contribution guidelines. So if you want to know what's happening behind the hood, behind the scenes for those components, this is a great reference for that. Furthermore, we have this plugin section, which just kind of think of it as like the Skeleton API. So detailing all the features you kind of get from the Skeleton plugin, and then sort of a breakdown of each category, and even to some degree what classes you get out of this. And so we talk about base styles, and I think we link over to the style sheet so you can see what the base styles are that we apply, just some opinionated styles. We talk about how to disable those, which is not something that I think we ever managed to get in the previous version of the documentation. I don't think a lot of people knew you could disable base styles, and so now we're communicating that, which is great. We talk about the component section, which we really recommend you just kind of browse each component to kind of get a better understanding of those. And then we have this like extend section. So the general idea is these are the features that you get that are provided by our Tailwind that extends Tailwind itself. So when we say Skeleton is an extension, or we say Skeleton is a superset of Tailwind, these are the extra features that you're getting on top of, just the core, right? And so we talk about, various classes that you get, what that theme property ties to. So we talked about the theme generator in the past, and the CSS custom properties that are generated. This kind of links those so that you say, okay, this is what I'm setting in my theme. How do I use that? And so we have a class that's mapped to that, and you could take that and use that. And we just kind of go through each of those, and we break these into different categories. We talk about spacing. We have a dedicated section for that, so we just kind of link to some of these sections rather than trying to duplicate the information here in the same place. And then on and on, going to typography and all the different typography classes and all of those things. So a little bit more advanced stuff here, but some details that, again, we never quite had mapped properly in the previous version, and I'm very excited to have that, generated and available here. We talk a little bit through about dark mode, which kind of covers some of those details we were just talking about. There is Tailwind's named the name that you can actually apply right here. So I called it, I think it was class previously, right? Like that was the default strategy. You can use selector now. Is the new replacement for that. They're one-to-one and interchangeable, but if you're just kind of curious on wording there, selector mode or media mode is now the proper terms for those. We talk about how to do light and dark mode styling, which again, this is all Tailwind features, so we do kind of refer you over to that. And in the future, we will have some more information here, just walking you through how to set up something like a light or dark mode toggle on Next.js or on SvelteKit or on Astro or some other framework, because the instructions for those differs per framework. Fortunately, it's likely not going to be a dedicated component like V2, just because, again, there's so much variance between all of these different options, and we just want to make sure that you have a firm understanding of like what is actually going on to implement those types of features. We also have a new dedicated section here for Figma, just kind of previewing a little bit of, get a little sneak peek of what we're cooking up. Bodin and Micah have done an amazing job with this, and I can't wait to show you in just a moment, just show you some of the progress on this. We do kind of have a link that's kind of disabled here. In the future, we are looking to actually distribute and sell the Figma assets. In the previous version, it was kind of a community-generated effort by these two guys. It was done for free. It was, just kind of a very volunteer type thing. Just a couple guys from the community just trying to help everybody out. For V3, you're going to see it's much more robust, much more professional, much more, higher quality, that kind of thing. And so, again, look for more details coming soon on all of that. We have a new dedicated theme section here, which talks through a lot of the stuff that I was mentioning with like importing themes and the fact that you can use preset themes or custom themes, how you register your themes, how you activate a theme, how you can customize even some of the presets that are built, preset themes. You might want to just change a font style or change a particular property that's set on that theme. We kind of detailed the instructions for that. The enhancement stuff that I talked about a little bit earlier. And then in the future, we're going to come back and kind of document the custom font process. We had a lot of different options for this in the V2 docs. It was too complicated. I'm going to try to slim this down and just make this as simple as I can for folks. Just use Google Fonts. Here's how you import stuff. Here's how it works. Just real simple stuff. Other than that, several sections that have already, been provided or been available for a while have been updated. Maybe look a little bit different, a little cleaner, a little nicer. I don't think there's anything. The iconography section is relatively new. I don't know if I've had a chance to call that out. So previous versions of Skeleton, we just kind of left it open-ended. You could use whatever icon library or solution that you wanted. That's still the case in V3. We're just taking a more opinionated stance or giving you an opinionated option for an icon library to use, which is Lucid, which is a really great option. If you've not had a chance to see it, I do recommend checking it out. It's really well documented, works really well. It's available for all of these different frameworks. Really no complaints. It works really well. And so we provide kind of opinionated or, installation instructions here to kind of walk you through how to set this up for a React project versus Svelte. And we even link to a couple alternatives in case you're not happy with Lucid or you need something. Get a little further. Now, we don't provide the instructions for every single one of these options. We'll only provide that for Lucid. But again, that's part of the opinionation process, right? I think most everything else should be very similar or the same. Just FYI, we do have a couple additional components that are nearly completed. Probably be part of the next progress update, so do keep an eye out for that. And then we have some updates down here to these kind of sections down at the bottom. So the contribution section, we've now kind of really kind of padded out and expanded this. You can see lots and lots more information if you're curious about contributing. We haven't quite opened up the floodgates for contributors to work on V3 yet, but if you're curious to do so, please do come read through these documents, because this will kind of lay the groundwork for the requirements for what you need to do in order to contribute, to help with this out. So, again, we're doing one more kind of big wave of updates to the documentation structure, and then once that's sorted, I'm going to come up here, clean this documentation, and then we should be able to provide this for everybody else that wants to come and check it out. I think Cookbook and everything else should be very similar to what it was before. Yeah, we show code samples and stuff now, whereas we didn't previously. A couple new top-level sections up here. So we have, obviously, the documentation section, which you're seeing now. We're just kind of stubbing out a place for where the blog is going to live. That's not set up yet. And then we do have a link over to the theme generator. So if you're looking for a quick way to get over to that is now linked here in the header here. So please note that we're still doing more and more stuff on the documentation. We don't have all the mobile responsive styles. There are several issues that still need to be addressed. But again, it's part of a process, and we're coming along. Things are looking pretty good. Now for this next part, let me pull this off screen just so I can make sure I'm not leaking any credentials here. Let's see. Okay, let this file load. Okay. And so just to kind of quickly go through here, I did want to show a quick preview of what we've got cooked up for the Figma assets. So it's very much work in progress. There's still some things that are not set in stone. We're still kind of working through some, styling specific details. But again, it's starting to come together. So you're starting to see symbols and typography. You can see kind of badge styles here. Some new stuff kind of towards the bottom here. We have this tab section here, which is kind of just a ton of variants of styles for how you can style and kind of manipulate your tabs. A lot of this stuff is interactive, so you can link to the get a direct link to the accessibility document for tabs. You can see a quick preview here. A lot of the props and things like that are default are detailed right here. Just tons and tons and tons of information. So like I mentioned a moment ago, it's a huge step forward from the previous iteration. So shout out to Micah and Boden for doing an amazing job on this. There's even more than what I'm showing you here. This is just, again, the tip of the iceberg, but some really exciting stuff in that. So definitely do keep an eye on this Figma section, on the documentation, and we'll probably put a big announcement when this goes live and when this is available. But again, just wanted to kind of give you a quick peek of what's coming down the road. So other than that, that's all I've got for you today, guys. Please do, check everything out that I've mentioned here. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to respond in the comment section of this video or on GitHub or Discord. We're available on all of those. We'd love to hear from you, and hope you're enjoying all the updates. Again, let me know about the new video format with the video and the audio. If everything's good, I'd love to hear that. So appreciate it, and thanks everybody.